We come across problems every day, and the problem solving of that, trying to make something better from something that's maybe would fail without our intervention, is what we try and do. This hive that's on now in this position, you'll notice that a lot of our nukes have either been sold or they've gone out to the out apiaries. But the one that's in this position has done really, really well when I opened it up the other day. And it had lots and lots of honey in. Great for the bees, they're expanding the populations really fast and also producing honey at the same time, which in the second week in April is unheard of. Not complaining. So yeah, this one was honey bound, meaning that the queen really didn't have enough room to lay. And on a bigger scale, that's one of the triggers for swarming. So we want to reduce the population down ever so slightly. And also we want to just manipulate the hive to give it a bit more space and make sure that, you know, the honey isn't actually becoming an incumbent to them laying eggs. This wasn't the original position for this hive. So I've moved that away and put this hive here, which has got lots of bees in. Those bees will go out and forage, but they won't return to this hive. They'll return to its original location, which is down at the bottom. The other hive will scoop those up. So we've reduced the population, and now we're going to go in, take a look very closely at what the queen is doing. I'm sure she's going to prove that she's doing really well. So I went through the inspections of all the hives that are remaining last week, and there was more than one that was being overly successful, if that's even a thing. So this one, when I took the lid off, it was all stuck down. The bees had made wax, which they put between the frame and the roof, and then filled it full of nectar first. The bees will reduce the nectar down from 40% to below 20% when it becomes honey, but they were well on the way with that. So to have the lid stuck down, and also the risk of then squashing bees in such a small hive, we want to reduce that, particularly of the queen. So I took the old roof away at the same time as I moved it, cleaned that up. It's got a brand new roof in there, and we've just temporarily put a box on of drawn combs in the top, so that'll give them something to work into. But now I need to go into the bottom box to distribute those combs. We want to sort of create a tunnel up into the hive where we've got 3 of the original combs in the bottom and 3 in the top box, and they will then expand the hive out from there. But I didn't do that on the day. There was just too much risk of honey getting everywhere, squashing the queen, so we've come back to it today when they've got less bees now, because we've drained some of those off into another hive, and also we've changed some of the equipment to give them a little bit of extra space where they can put any honey they're bringing in over the next few days. So we'll go and do that now. No idea what we're going to find in here. What I hope we're going to find is a decent population of bees, less than there were the other day when I inspected them. And then we're just going to move a few frames around to make it a 12 frame nuke rather than a 6 frame. So we'll take a look now. You've got to like problem solving with bees. They present new opportunities every day for problem solving. But it's good to remember that the bees are the experts. They have come across this problem many, many times before. And so we do intervene, but they are the experts at solving most of it. And sometimes just leaving them alone for a few days is a good strategy. That's what we've done here. And we'll see if it's proven to be the right one. The queen could be in any one of these frames. She's not on the lid, there's only a couple of bees. So there's much less of a population that we're having to look at. But there are bees up in this frame here. We have largely foundation in this hive. Just check if the queen's not on. You can see they've been building wax, but she's not on there. We can just put that to one side. But we did put one drone combing that the bees don't have to draw out. and she could have maybe already moved up here. It's probably about 20% full of nectar in this one, so they're starting to store what they're bringing in this top box, which is really good. So we'll put that one back in for now. Take out a couple of these other foundation frames that we have, and we'll move a few combs from the bottom up into this top. They largely, with so much honey, and it's almost created a roof for the queen, so will be less likely to move up. So what we want to do is really bring the queen up into this top box to make sure she knows that there's all this space available, and then they can start to draw that out and work on this frame as well. It's handy to have something to put the top box on, so we'll use the lid, upturn lid for now. And you can see in the original hive, you can see even though we siphoned off a lot of the bees, it's still a very, very populated hive. They've created this wax roof almost, and the extent of the universe, if you like, is in this bottom box, and the queen just won't appreciate the space above. We want to encourage her now to move up, as well as the bees also starting to store nectar above as well. Just got to be very, very careful, because obviously it is stuck together. We don't want to cover everything in honey, particularly the queen, and we do want to find out where she is. When we do have her, we'll put it in this box. She'll be safe and sound on top of that upturned lid, and then we'll create a nest around her that we can put back on as well. Even though you can see this is a very, very populous hive, lots of bees, as we move our hand over, they don't react to it at all. It's a nice colony, this one. So one we want to look after and bring on. So we're looking for space really. The original space would have been on this side to give us just that bit of room, but everything is stuck together. So it's just a case of going really gently. Some smoke will drive the bees down a little. I think the best one is to go in at the end here. Gently take this out, still stuck on the other side. From the weight, it feels like a food frame, this one, but we want to avoid rolling the queen. So a quick look for her, and it's a very, very full still honey frame. There is no laying room for the queen on this frame because they literally have packed away stores. It's huge. It's hard to turn it over. Queen's not on here. I think I'm going to put that one to one side and keep it in the bottom box. Now we've created that space, it'll be a little easier. As you can see, still not loads of bees flying out. So it is a nice day, but this is a lovely temperament colony. And then again, here's an indication about how well these were doing. Just looking for the queen again. She isn't on there, but you can see how they've created an extra little strip of comb where they were able to, just in the hope that the queen would lay in there, and in fact she has laid in there. So these are desperate for space. So although the queen has laid in this, it's going to cause problems for us and the bees later on if we don't remove this comb. So we're just going to sacrifice that, making sure there's no bees on it, squashing any bees, and that'll go in the wax melter. But when we put this, we'll go with the top box for this one. Another look for the queen, and that can just go in the middle. So just breaking the seals on either side and then moving it away. Lift it up. And then just lift, keeping over the nucleus hive, just a quick look for the queen. Another piece of comb that they've sort of built on the side, get rid of that. Pop this one in as well. So we'll probably get one more frame in this. If the queen remains in the bottom, that's okay. If there's no impediment to her moving up. But she'll have fresh comb and bees to support her now. Still no sign of the queen on this, but lots of larvae and eggs. And you can tell when they are running out of space. Not only are they building all this comb and filling it with honey between, but where the eggs have emerged into new bees, they're having to use those cells for nectar storage rather than the queen coming back in laying. That can be our final frame in the top. And then we're going to put, to make up the number, just a foundation frame. We'll go in the end there. Push everything close together. And I'm just going to tidy this up. So we'll get rid of the bees off here, just to get rid of this wax on the corner. Just running it gently along the frame, underneath, not trapping any bees. This hive is only going to go one way. It's going to swarm, and there's no room left, lots and lots of honey coming in. Prime candidate for it. So we'll at least give them a bit of a fighting chance by filtering off that population and then giving the queen somewhere else to lay. And then we need to move this out into an out apiary within the next week or so. The final two frames. But I can't believe how nice they are. Well, I can believe, because we bred them, but it's always nice to see the fruits of your labour. When they have such a profuse hive as this, it does force the queen, she's normally in the middle of the nest, it does force her out into the margins really to find where those laying opportunities are. She should have a green dot on this one, but we haven't seen anything yet. So we'll start to reconstruct this bottom part. Take any of the excess wax off the sidewall. And then we're going to checkerboard, which is put frames in intermittently. So we've got one frame here with bees and food on, and then we put a foundation frame in, making sure we're not squashing anything up against the end. Then we'll carry on with another frame, and then we put a foundation frame. So it's just interspersing foundation, but it does a couple of things. It gives the impression that they've got all this space inside. The pressure's been relieved. The queen's got lots of spaces to lay. They were more inclined to draw those frames out when they've got the heat within the hive. If you put them all together, they'll maybe do the outside ones but ignore the 2 or 3 in the middle. So we just separated them, old frame, new frame, old frame, new frame, and that will encourage them to draw them out. So final frame of bees. This is stuck against the sidewall, so we have to be gentle with that one. And another heavy-ish frame. With food and plenty of bees on there. But no sign of the queen, which is fine because at least up until a couple of days ago, just by the eggs we can see, it's an egg for just over 3 days. So the queen was in here for 3 days ago. This is a healthy hive. You can tell by the demeanour of everybody, they're all more than happy. But she's just eluded us for now. The queen won't leave on her own. She needs a retinue. All beehives are what's called superorganisms. This basically means they've all got their own jobs and they're all interdependent. So a queen on their own won't go very far. They won't be able to feed themselves, they won't be able to keep themselves warm, they won't be able to feed the eggs. These are all jobs that the other bees do. With any sized hive, whether it's a nucleus like this or a full-sized hive, it's almost always never essential to see the queen. There are at some occasions, but we can tell from the general demeanour of the hive, the way they react, the volume even in the hive would be a lot higher if they were panicking and frantic they didn't have a queen. And we can also tell by looking in the cells that they still have eggs, so the queen was there definitely about 3 days ago maximum. So everything points to them having a laying fertile queen in here, which they're very happy with. And just the amount of bees and the populousness of it says it's doing okay. So she's probably in here somewhere. With all the other interventions we've done, we don't want to go looking too much at this time. Put another frame in there. And then we have our monster frame of food. So the only real thing that we can do with that is to put it in and probably see how it goes, and then in a week's time maybe change that over for another comb, save this one for something else, maybe building nukes, because it's got so much food on it. It's really a 5-frame nuke rather than a 6-frame nuke. So we put the last frame of foundation in, make sure everything's pushed up to there. So bottom box is full, potentially queen is in there, potentially she could actually be in this top box. So I'm going to be very gently move it on. It's got quite a few bees in now. Those cat bees will emerge over the next week. Again, it really needs to move out. A few on the lid, but they can go back on here. So that's the hive all put back together. We've sort of collected quite a bit of wax there as well. Let's see how much was sticking frames together. But still got one sort of worry in the back of my mind, which is that full frame that was in the bottom. We'll see how that goes over the next week. They're not going to consume all that. It may be worth taking it out. But all in all, a good inspection. Didn't see the queen, but that's okay. And now we're going to put them back on their original hive position and see all these foraging bees and bees we've disturbed from here all make their way back in. It's quite a sight. And really important, obviously, to stick it back in the same orientation. There's a few bees here that are still waiting for their home, but they all quickly drift back in. Nice fresh digs for them, like fresh sheets on a bed.